Okay, this one's called For Joe. And I read this one again a few months ago to a crowd. It was interesting. I knew the people pretty well, so you could not feel embarrassed, when you projected the reality of the poem right at them, see? Whereas if they'd have been a big mass crowd of people you didn't know, you'd have held back a little bit. For Joe, autumn and the smell of arrests in the air, rain and insinuations of police activity, checking the lists for your friends, the heart sinks. Quote, major dealers in boldface, actually small fry trying to supplement part-time jobs, unemployed keeping afloat, all fingered by some amiable-seeming guy, furniture dealer down from the north, trying to set things up, entrap people in schemes from which he will then subtly withdraw his own person at the moment of legal lightning. Quote, prosecute those who kill, not those who won't, unquote. A man weeping, holding his sign as he and his friends are drawn in for protesting the draft, blocking federal property. But the ones who kill, the ones who murdered in Vietnam, in the Congo, in Korea, in Greece, in Nicaragua, in El Salvador, in Argentina, in Chile, in Afghanistan, in the Philippines, in South Africa, in East Timor, they pretend their inevitability, their unthwartableness. They must go on with their stern, hypocritical disapproval, with their sophistry of logic, in which crimes without victims become the criminals as victims. These are the ones who lie, cheat, kill, imprison as a matter of daily activity. Whether Khomeini and his crew of religious murderers, Reagan and his glib elitists, the Polish ruling class pretending to be communists, if you don't go along with the mob, keep your mouth shut, act like a sheep, murder who they tell you according to some lottery in which some must kill and all bear responsibility, whether they call themselves capitalists or communists or Muslim patriots, they are the same heinous bunch, the real criminals. Remembering the acid smell of rain on the metal bars, the odor of old encrusted dirt in the cells, new wave of arrests in Poland, extremists arrested for passing out leaflets, massive funeral for Gdansk shipyard worker, killed by authorities, autumn and the old smell of tyranny like a tired policeman coming slowly up the stairs. Always, it's your word against mine, their testimony against ours, their sated sense of persecution against our pain, their rapacious passion to see that, quote, justice, unquote, is done, that whole indigenous populations disappear, that some are thrown from helicopters, that others have their genitals mutilated, that still others are found at municipal dumps with their heads cut off, that some are never found at all, los desaparecidos, that some merely rot in jails, lives ebbing away usefully and painfully like some terrible nuclear half-life by which time so much of their substance will have withered away, that dictators are praised solemnly in ceremonies which are almost funny in the absurdities of extent as upholders of democracy, and say things like, they tortured themselves and blamed it on us to give us a bad name. That these extremists who demand something to eat, a decent life, a place to live, a choice of political process, are silenced forever. That those who tend their own consciousness by whatever means are cast out of society because of their possession of illegal substances. These thought criminals must be made to suffer, and suffer hard. It's hard time here in this lockup, one said to me. He had lost 60 pounds in 9 months awaiting trial, from 190 to 130. The look in his eyes, the deep suffering nigritude When I came back from sentencing, they said, "What'd you get?" 4 years. "Shit," the old man said with fierce contempt. "I could do 4 years standing on the head of my dick." Autumn, and word of new crackdowns, new mass arrests. My great-grandfather left Germany to avoid conscription, but it looks as though he didn't go far enough. Perhaps there is no place, really. The same crowd must have been running things then, too. That same old bunch with their costumes, their uniforms, their titles, their businesses, their respectability, their lies, their hatred, their money, their positions, their tendency to liquidate all opposition to their hegemony. No doubt they would have taken him, if they could, for cannon fodder. They put you in their Gulagus Americanus. They will arrest and torment your children and your children's children and their children's children down to the last generation, the last iota, until their grotesque vision of slavery and justice is done, until the last generation is washed from the earth like pieces of meat from an abattoir, until we are bombed back to the Stone Age, poisoned, murdered, imprisoned, made normal, or dead. Autumn and the smell of bus coming down. Which of you has been taken in my stead?
Drink of water or something?
Yeah.
Right over there.
Boy, that one gets you worked up.